More coffee, country, and Cody is on WSM.
With just a slight sense of deja vu, I say welcome to our Assembly Food Hall stage here at our A-Cup House studio on the Opry Plaza. One of my favorite singer-songwriters, great musician, producer, and let's not bury the lead. As I mentioned earlier, fellow Rhode Islander, Phil Madeira, welcome back to Coffee, Country, and Cody.
It's great to be back.
Your first time in Mr. A-Cup's house. This is our new digs.
I came over here years ago, and he and I, partied a lot.
Yeah. Well, I heard, Mr. Acuff did some of that back in the day, I'm sure.
Of course, I'm just kidding.
Yes. I think I look back, the first time you joined us was certainly back at our longtime hotel studio, but that would have been 2016, and then 2020 was your last visit with us. So if you'd like to book something for about 2029, we'll be happy to keep the election year stuff.
Oh, that's scary.
Well, congratulations on a great new record.
Thank you so much.
Falcon is just fantastic. You and I were talking about the album cover because the artwork is striking the first time people see it. That is a beautiful vehicle on the cover of this record.
Yeah, my mother, my dad was a minister, which you may recall, in Barrington. And my mom was the church organist, church pianist, and she got a little bit of stipend for doing that. And in 1973, she paid $150 for a 64 Falcon wagon, which I drove out to Indiana and eventually to my career. And so a lot of the songs reflect back to those days, and I thought, I'm going to name this Falcon.
Yeah.
It just sounds adventurous to me.
And today is release day.
Excuse me?
And today is release day.
Yeah.
Yeah, very exciting. So, your career has had so many interesting paths that any one of the paths would have been a great career in and of itself. I mean, your albums are fantastic, so people love your stuff as a singer-songwriter. Your songs have been recorded by, it's a who's who of people who have recorded your songs. I'm going to read the short list for folks here, but Alison Krauss, Toby Keith, Ricky Skaggs, Bruce Hornsby, Kebmo, guy named Garth, that never hurts.
Is it Garth?
Yeah. Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. So as only a songwriter, that's a great career. And for almost 2 decades, you've been touring the world with Emmylou Harris. So, those are 3 really cool things to do, all combined into one career.
I'm grateful. That's all I can say, because there are so many individuals just in our town who are trying, and there are probably a lot of really great musicians and songwriters that won't have the good fortune that I've had, and I can't really explain it except that I've said yes. When someone invites me into a conversation, I will say yes.
I found that's usually the correct answer. Even if saying yes doesn't necessarily mean you can do the thing they're asking you to do, I can figure out how to do it. I don't say no very often.
It's funny you should say that, because years ago I was over at the Castle recording studio on Old Hillsborough Pike with Brown Bannister, a good friend, but also, he was the guy who produced all of Amy Grant's early stuff, and he was making a record on an artist named Stephen Curtis Chapman, and he had this all-star band of heavyweights, Leland Sklar, with the big beard and stuff, and me. I just happened to get on that gig to play Hammond organ, and one day Brown said to me, "Hey, do you play lap steel?" Well, I was familiar, and I said, "Yeah." And I went over to Groon Guitar, little free advertising, I suppose, for them. Went over to Groon Guitar.
Oh, we still see George almost every night at the Grand Ole Opry.
Oh, that's
coming
great.
In with guitars. I think we're like his annex location for sales.
Better his guitars than his snakes.
Yes,
he's a big snake nut. But I went over there. I bought a Fender lap steel, like a 1953 lap steel, and came back and played it. Now, it wasn't Jerry Douglas, but it was it sufficed, you
Yeah.
know. So I said yes to an accordion. I was in a little shop in Chicago with my nephew. I saw this little accordion, 1995. I thought, you know, that might come in handy. Accordion is why I got the gig with Emmylou.
Really?
So saying yes, you know, it's not always the right. It's not always the right thing to say.
Wow. So take me back a few decades. Which of those paths was the main goal, or was there a main goal? Were just wanting to do music of some sort?
I came to Tennessee to do the thing I'm doing now. I came to Tennessee to make my own records, to sing my own songs, and as life would have it, I wound up in the service of other artists, and I would not change a thing, you know. So I really started getting serious about my own solo work maybe 15 years ago. I'm 73, right? And so a little late in the game, but all the lessons that I've learned by toiling in the field for other people, other artists. Had I made the record I wanted to make when I moved here in 1983, I don't think I'd have a career. I don't think it would have been good. So I learned a lot along the way, and I think Providence has its way of letting your life unfold, hopefully as it needs to. So I live with no regrets. In fact, still serving other artists, but I moved here to make Falcon, to make that record.
Yeah. Are there songs you know when you write these are going to be Phil Madeira songs as opposed to songs I'm going to pitch or somebody's going to pitch to somebody else?
Well, if I'm writing something by myself, which is often the case, I'm considering it. And then when I co-write a song, that's a different thing. So like Gordon Kennedy and I wrote Maybe, which I did a cover of on this new record, but Maybe is the song that both Alison Krauss and Garth Brooks and a few other artists have recorded. And when we wrote that we knew it was beyond ourselves, you know. It was just it's a beautiful song.
Yeah. Well, speaking of beautiful songs and a great message, first cut we're going to feature off this record is called Lesson of Love, and there's a wonderful video that goes along to it. For folks who haven't heard it yet, just give a little setup before we play it for everybody.
I'm sorry?
Just give it a little setup on Lesson of Love.
Well, I think as I'm a dad, and I have 2 grown daughters. They're fantastic. I love them. And each generation has to kind of embrace what the new generation is bringing and stuff. And I'll just say this. I was on social media one day, and I saw, I kept seeing posts. I'm trying to figure out how to say this in the right way. Well, I'll back up. I kept seeing anti-gay posts from a gospel artist who has a gay adult child, and I just thought, I don't think this is the way to love your kid, you know. And so I wrote this song, but I want to say that, you know, I'm not even making a value judgment on the choices or just the happenstance of a person's life. I'm really just saying, you know, the call is to love. The call from your creator or just life is love is not going to, you're not going to lose if you give love to your child.
Yeah. Let's watch and listen together. Brand new from Phil Madeira on Coffee, Country, and Cody.
You always dreamed of Jack and Jill, a white picket fence, a house on the hill. But the dream you dream won't be fulfilled. So you call your son a $3 bill. you called your son a $3 bill. When he came out, you slammed the door. Told him he wasn't your kin anymore. You wring your hands, you pace the floor, and you have no clue how to win your war. You have no clue how to win your war. Someone's trying to get a message to you, but you're too afraid to let it through. You take the hard line, you gotta play tough. You still haven't learned the lesson of love. Nobody ever prayed the truth away. You can't give nothing if you can't give grace. High from heaven, God sends the rain. Falls like mercy on the thirsty plain. Boundless kindness unrestrained. For every child is loved the same. Every child is loved the same. Someone's trying to get a message to you, but you're too afraid to let it through. You take the hard line, you gotta play tough. And you still haven't learned the lesson of love. You still haven't learned the lesson of love. You still haven't learned the lesson of love.
This is Coffee, Country, and Co.
Back with Phil Madeira in studio on our Assembly Food Hall stage from our Acuff House studios here on the Grand Ole Opry Plaza. The new album is Falcon, and you've got a really cool gig. We were talking off the air. For those of you who have not been to Nashville in a while, you know, we have a habit of like tearing down really nice old things and building hotels and parking lots. But there's two places I'm happy and frankly still a little surprised that are still around. One is the Station Inn in the Gulch, and the other is Brown's Diner. And you've got a gig on Friday the 25th at Brown's.
That's right. Redder Boys, which is Emmy Lou's band. Well, it's the rhythm section. Will Kimbrough on guitar, Chris Donahue on bass, Brian Owings drums, and me on keyboard. And we do it about once a month. And we just love playing there. We just pass the hat, no cover. And we tear it up.
Oh, yeah.
And it started out as a gig where Will called up and said, hey, we need rehearse for this gig. Do you guys want to rehearse live at Brown's? And we said, we're kind of fearless. And we're just, sure. So, yeah, come on out.
Yeah, nothing like a rehearsal in front of people. That'll help, you know?
and a free hamburger and a free beer, you know. So not for them, for us.
Yeah.
But.
I was going to say, you're going to have a huge crowd if that was
That's
the
right.
case.
That's right. I got to be careful.
You know, Brown's Diner, the first place I ever met Hal Ketchum and Nancy Griffith.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
That was it's also John Prine's joint. You know, he's there all the time.
Yeah. Wish I'd met Prine there. So
I met him. I got to play with him a little bit. Sweetheart.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I ran through earlier in that first segment some of the folks who have cut your songs. Well, who was the very first person to record a Phil Madeira song?
Oh gosh. Well, I think when I moved here, the first door that really opened was in the Christian music world, and I think it was one of two people. It was either a fellow now deceased named Kenny Marks, who you probably hadn't heard of, and then another gospel artist named Kathy Tricoli. So there wasn't big cuts, but it was like a foot.
Sure.
It was a foot in.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. It's suddenly, though, once you get a few, you're such a better songwriter than the day before you didn't have anything.
Well, it's an encouragement. I will say this, as a songwriter, most of my success, and I think most songwriters' success, happens when they co-write. So when you're writing with another writer, you might come in with an incident or an idea, but once they put their incident and their idea in, then it becomes a little more universal.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful to have these opportunities.
Well, the new album is Falcon. You've got a guitar that certainly has some history to it. How long has that been in your collection?
This is a 1953 Gibson, and it's got a lyric on the side of it that I had a gig with Emmylou, and she was doing a song that she and I had written off of one of my Mercyland hymns records, and I've just never wanted to take it off, you know. But it's been beat up. I don't know if you can tell, but I love this guitar, and old guitars are a little bit of an investment. So
I love the ones that look like they've been played, though. They're meant to be played.
It's like Willie Nelson's trigger.
Yeah.
You know, it's got a hole in it.
Indeed, yeah. Well, we'd love for you to do something live for us.
All right, well, I'm going to do something that I wrote with a guy named Bob Klein and a guy named Lucas Thompson, and we wrote this at my Mercyland Songwriter Workshop. So here we go.
Live in studio with Phil Madeira at our Assembly Food Hall stage from our Acuff House studios. I'm curious, as a songwriter, how different are songs that you sit down at a piano to start or finish and write, and those that you start maybe on a guitar?
You know, my first couple of solo records were really guitar-oriented. And when I did the Providence record, which, of course, you'd relate to, because that is all piano. Because I play piano and Hammond organ for so many people, it almost became not interesting to me anymore. And at some point, I fell back in love with the piano, and I started writing all my songs on piano again. And then the Providence record, the Falcon record is a combination. It's mostly piano, and piano. I'm a better pianist than I am a guitar player. The song I just played, I wrote on guitar. A lot of the record I wrote on piano, and it's the countryer stuff that I write is mostly written on guitar. You know, it's just made for it. And how many country pianists, artists? There are few. I always think of Behind Closed Doors,
Charlie Rich.
Oh my gosh! So there's some great piano music in the country world, but not as much as guitar. Yeah. So the piano might steer me
a little more on the pop side, or the
jazzy or bluesy, or whatever it takes. Yeah. But I'm in love with music. You know, I always called music the other woman. You know.
Well, we'd love for you to do one more. We got time more if you're up for it. Yeah.
Wow. Let's see. What should I do? Boy. Okay. Well, I wasn't prepared for that. So let's see. You know what? I'll do Maybe.
We have found as well with songwriters, there are 9 p.m. songs and there are 9 a.m. songs, and sometimes they're not anywhere near the same song. I was like, well, I'd love to do that, but I'll do that tonight. So.
Well, anyway, this is Maybe. This is what I wrote with Gordon Kennedy, who is the son of Jerry Kennedy, who produced a lot of amazing work. This one I played on piano on the record. Let's see if I can play it on guitar, right?
Live in studio with Phil Madeira. Both Alison Krauss and Garth Brooks have recorded that, and Phil's version is on his new album, Falcon. Man, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming to see us in our Acuff house. Falcon is the new record, Friday the 25th, full band show at Brown's Diner. This is Coffee Country and Cody with Phil Madeira.
Thank you.